So here we go. It's the herd hierarchy. I got to tell you, just to show you how many good teams we have, Baltimore's not in this.
Do we get the stat now, too?
Oh, I'm going to give you the stat in a second. I love Baltimore. They're 11. It tells you how many good teams there are right now. Here we go.
Herd hierarchy.
Time is now. Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin. Number 10.
Tampa Bay overcame a 17-0 halftime deficit to win. Why were they down 17? They're 4-3 in games this year. They've trailed by more than 10 points. Why are they always down in big games? Now, you could argue so was Kansas City, but Kansas City's got a much higher end at the end of games. Part of Tampa is their back end worries me. They're 8-1 against teams 500 or worse. There's a lot of wins over a lot of junk. Brady, it doesn't appear to me to be the issue. The issue is the back end's not good. The pass rush is inconsistent. They blitz a lot. They take a lot of chances, and their back end often does not save them on those blitzes. I have them at 10.
Number 9.
Tennessee. I'm going to give you a stat that is insane. You think you know all the good quarterbacks in the league. Since Ryan Tannehill got the starting job last year in Week 7, he has 67 touchdowns, 11 picks, and a passer rating of 112. Better than Mahomes. His yards per attempt. You think this is about, and I'm not saying he's better than Mahomes, you think this is Derrick Henry. Folks, Adam Gase is apparently an atrocious coach. Ryan Tannehill's playing his arse off. And Derrick Henry's unbelievable. Now, why are they 9th? They have no pass rush. They do not match up against the Kansas City. They just don't. This is a team that everybody that plays up, I don't think they match up with Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. I think they make quarterbacks too comfortable. We got to come to terms with this. Ryan Tannehill is a top 10 quarterback in this league, and Adam Gase can't coach because I saw him in Miami, and I thought he was a stiff, and he's just not.
Number 8.
Rams. Listen, don't sell too much of your stock. There's a couple of things here that matter. They're one of only 2 teams in the NFL to outgain their opponents by over 1,000 yards. Vegas cares about that. They have the number 1 defense, and they've allowed the fewest big plays in the NFL. So this is a really good football team. Here's the problem. Jared Goff gets into these like turnover tunnels. And in the last 7 games, he's got 8 touchdown passes and 12 giveaways. It is a problem. It's frustrating McVay. It may shorten his career in Los Angeles, but don't kid yourself. Jalen Ramsey allows them to match up with everybody in the NFL. You could put him on a Tyreek, you could put him on a DK Metcalf, you could put him on a Devontae Adams, and you know you're getting a pass rush with Darnold. So they're a matchup. They have some matchup symmetry with almost every good team in the league. Rams at 8.
Number 7.
Cleveland. I got to tell you, their offensive line is the best in the NFL. You know what they remind me of? Dak and the Dallas Cowboys his rookie year. Here comes Dak, best offensive line easily in the NFL, great running game, and you're not putting a ton of pressure on the quarterback, and Dak and the Cowboys go 13-3. Listen, Baker's humming right now. Without OBJ, he's a point guard, and he can pass to anybody. He's got time to throw. The running game is wide open. Play action pass all works now. 15 TDs, 1 pick for Baker. Since Odell's injury, I don't care what anybody says, he looks more comfortable. He looks like he's kind of controlling the offense. His body language is good. Doesn't have nervous feet. His confidence, his accuracy has gotten very good in the last 6 weeks. Browns at 7.
Number 6.
But Seattle's got a Hall of Fame coach and a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I would take them over Cleveland in a matchup, even though I don't like their offensive line. The reality is the Seahawks defense is on fire since Carlos Dunlap, who we loved, came over. Top 5 defense since he arrived, 28 sacks since he arrived. They've held each of their last 4 opponents under 20 points, and the running backs are healthy, which is when Seattle is scary. Carlos Hyde, Penny, Chris Carson. Now, their offense has been a little stagnant for a month as they reboot their defense, but I still like them a lot.
Number 5.
Miami lost to Seattle earlier. I don't think they would today. Is Brian Flores, are the Dolphins right now the best coach team in the league? Not saying he's the best coach, but are they the best coach team in the moment? I got to tell you something. They won last week, and they were missing 4 of their top 5 players. They were missing Myles Gaskin, Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki. They're only allowing 18 points. Tua is Drew Brees. He makes no mistakes. You're not going to get a ton of huge plays, no mistakes. He is the perfect quarterback right now for Brian Flores. I don't know what it is. They lead the NFL in takeaways, 20 straight games with one or more. I don't understand the lines in the NFL. Vegas doesn't buy them. They're only a 2.5-point favorite over the Raiders. I don't get it. This, to me, is a top 5 team in the NFL.
Number 4.
The Saints. The last couple of weeks, they've been gashed, but some of that is the defense is on the field for 42 minutes against the Chiefs. You're going to give up 400 yards. This really is a defensive story. They're a lot like Pittsburgh, except Brees can still play. I wouldn't take too much out of the Kansas City game. Didn't have Michael Thomas. Brees was awful in the first quarter off the rib injury. This is still a high-functioning team.
Number 3.
Green Bay. I'm going to know a lot more after this weekend against Tennessee. I know they're good. I know they play well with a lead. I know they beat bad teams. Can they go into the octagon with a Tennessee, with a bruising running game, and play from behind or play after getting punched? I don't know if they can. I will in less than a week.
Number 2.
Kansas City, 5 turnovers in 2 weeks. They're the most talented team, but I don't love what I see. Red zone defense, red zone offense, been a little clunky in the last month. Listen, Kansas City was 7-4 through 11 weeks last year. They weren't the best team in the league until week 12 on. Right now, this second, Kansas City is number 2.
Number 1.
And right now, this second, Buffalo is rolling and is number 1. I think they have the best coordinator in the league, Brian Daboll. I think Josh Allen is frightening. I think they match up with Kansas City, and they've gotten better. I think if you go since week 7, 7-1, 32 points a game, second point differential, 400 yards in this moment. Now, do I always love their defense? No, but I like it situationally. Best team last 2 weeks I see. I cannot believe they dropped 48 on Vic Fangio's defense after a Steeler win. It was the perfect time for a letdown game. And they dropped 48 on at least a competitive Denver team. And Vic Fangio is a top 5 defensive coach in the NFL. And with that, I bring in my friend Nick Wright. Used to live in Kansas City. Probably won't sit well with him. Brought to you by Nick Wright. All right, Nick. Can you at least acknowledge that Kansas City is sputtering a little right now?
Sputtering?
Yeah.
Can we show the hierarchy again? Is that possible? I don't know. Because what I do know is that Kansas City went to the number 1 team and beat them. Yeah. They went to the number 4 team and beat them. They went to the number 5 team and beat them. They went to the number 10 team and beat them. Baltimore's not on there. They went there and beat them. Oh, but they didn't hang 48 on Denver? Is that the problem? They did hang 43 on Denver, though. 5 points is the difference. The sputtering, I don't know. They just completed the greatest road season in NFL history, Colin. Look it up. 8-0, beating the best team in the league, Buffalo, beating New Orleans, beating Miami, beating Tampa, all in their buildings, beating Baltimore. So they're not sputtering. The offense could be better. That's why they only scored 32 points in New Orleans. What are you talking about? Sputtering. They've lost 1 game since before last Thanksgiving. 1 game.
Well, we see
out of your mind.
We see the sports car slightly differently. Now, you will have to admit, you had created this narrative out of thin air that Brady was an old relic. You needed to rust-proof the old car. It was sputtering down the road. His numbers with a new city, new team, new playbook, no coordinator, new roster are better than Aaron Rodgers last year with a new coach. Same team, same city, same space. Brady has shocked you how competent he is, has he not?
Well, competent. You know what? As you get older, competency is the goal. There's competency tests. Make sure you still be able to drive the car. So I guess competence is what we're shooting for here. No, I'd like to congratulate Tom Brady. He's 9-0 this year. And he's doing it all by himself. Because as we know, in Tampa, the rules are when the Bucs win, it's because of Brady. And when they lose, it's Bruce Arians and all of his terrible teammates' fault. So the Bucs 0-5. Tom Brady 9-0. Put them together, they're 9-5. Colin, I told you after the Chiefs went to Tampa and won that what was going to happen is Tampa was going to get on the bye and then win 4 consecutive games going into the playoffs and be everyone's hot playoff team before losing in wild card weekend in the postseason. They are halfway home. The only thing that was surprising about that football game was that they were down 17-0 to the Falcons. If you don't have a pass rush, the Bucs will eat you up. If you do have a pass rush, the Bucs are drawing dead, which is why I'm going to caution you of this because of how much you love Tom. You don't want them to move up to the 5 seed. If they move up to the 5 seed and get Washington, they will lose. The Washington pass rush will beat them, and while they'll probably lose if they're the 6th seed and get Seattle or the Rams, at least it won't be as shameful as losing to a 7-9 Washington team, which will happen if they get the 5 seed.
Interesting about OBJ, it is not his fault. But we have all in our life had an older brother, a boss, a mentor that we kind of want to impress. So Baker comes to Cleveland, here comes a superstar. And I think he kind of wanted to make OBJ know he was aware of him. I'm not blaming either of them. But I do think it's indisputable. Baker's now the point guard. You know, he can pass to everybody. He's more comfortable. His body language is good. This is not me blaming. He is absolutely a better quarterback without OBJ. When I watch him now, he looks totally comfortable. There's no pressing. You know OBJ, you like him. Is it possible?
That's right.
Is it possible
That's right.
He was an issue?
You're right. No, you're right. You're right. This team's, this is the odd time where removing a super talented player has made the team function better. And I actually think it puts the Browns in a great position because Odell, if traded, that contract becomes super palatable. The guarantees are already paid out. This base salary is I think 12 to 14 million a year over the rest of it. So I think at the minimum, they'd get a good 2nd-round pick, if not a late 1st-round pick. And in fact, I might even be able to tell you, Colin, they might be able to get the latest 1st-round pick. How about the 32nd pick? How about a team that's going to win the Super Bowl, that's going to have Sammy Watkins coming off the books? That, could we see Odell follow the Randy Moss career path? Unbelievable start, odd 2nd stop, and then an unbeatable 3rd act. For Randy, it was in New England. For Odell in Kansas City, I mean, the rich get richer, possibly. Who knows? It's just something people are talking about. By people, I mean me. But yes, I do think the one thing you got right about the Browns all year was Odell. I do think that. I think everything else you were wrong about, but the Odell thing, I think you were right about.
I really appreciate that. That OBJ Chiefs thing. Only you would come up with that. That's not good. It's not going to happen, but it is a delicious idea. And I thought to myself,
I mean, I'm just saying, if you're Brett Veach and Andy Reid, and you have the 32nd pick of the draft, which this year they used on a running back who they didn't really need, and Sammy Watkins and his money's coming off the books, and you're looking at the draft, and you're like, well, there's a solid inside linebacker from Georgia, or Odell Beckham Jr., I'm just saying, I think Odell Beckham Jr. could fit. And I might be able to help him find a house there. There's some gorgeous areas. Great place to raise a family. If Odell's ready to settle down, I can talk to him about it.
Good seeing you, buddy. You're doing my show tomorrow. Nick Wright, multiple talented platforms.
You two have a great time off, buddy. Happy holidays.
All right. Thanks, man. Nick Wright. No, it is interesting. You get to a point with Kansas City. This happened years and years and years ago when San Diego was really good, the Chargers. And A.J. Smith was a GM, and they gave up all their picks for Eric Weddle, who was a safety from Utah. And they had so many Pro Bowlers, 10. Their takeaway was none of these guys can play. Kansas City now is they figured out, they draft this, they draft that, everything's solid. You get to a point where some of these teams are willing to give up 2 or 3 picks to just get a star for 1 or 2 years. Listen, Kansas City, when you're in that Super Bowl window, it is kind of funny. One Super Bowl gets everybody 3 years contract extension. 2 gets you 6. Andy Reid's in his 60s. Brett V. You go from, a champion. John Calipari's got 1. 2 at Kentucky changes everything. You can't question him. First one you can go, he had Anthony Davis. It's amazing 1 to 2 in Kansas City. You get that second one, and you're a legend. The first one is, Brian Billick won a Super Bowl. And he's not a bad coach, but I mean, that's the difference.
There's a big difference between 1 and 2.
Brian Billick and Tom Coughlin.
Especially back to back.